This roomful of overprivileged, undereducated charlatans spent the last few years gratuitously making cheap jokes at the expense of Donald Trump. They openly wanted Biden. They called for it. Some of them actually campaigned for it. And now, here they are, waving the Ukrainian flag, lamenting the humanitarian crisis, showing their solidarity with a nation that would never have been invaded if Orange Man Bad had still been in power. Most of them jumped on board the eco-warrior Environmental Express as well. Basically, they were blindly led along by a Swedish teenager who, by definition, hardly ever attended school and helped to influence a Western green agenda that handed so much power to Vladimir Putin that he felt emboldened enough to roll the tanks in. But they didn't think of that, did they? Because they were too busy virtue signalling. They're now all saying that what a great man Volodymyr Zelensky is. Yes, a strong man who cares about his national sovereignty and borders and is prepared to defend them. Apparently this lot care about borders, just not their own. They love a strong leader who cares about his country, unless, of course, he happens to be called Trump. They're all just jumping on the bandwagon. They make the mistake of thinking that because we pay money to watch them perform at the cinema, that their views on international relations and geopolitics count for something. We all sit there with bated breath, waiting for the sage wisdom to cascade out of their mouths like a Niagara Falls of horse manure. You'd find more self-worth by scraping the U-bend of a public toilet at Euston Station than you would in the entire auditorium of that BAFTA reception. They're lecturing us all about the humanitarian crisis. Well, I bet that if you surveyed the property portfolio of the Hollywood superstars in that crowd, you'd be able to find enough spare rooms for 200,000 refugees, let alone the 100,000 that Britain is asking ordinary men and women to take in at their own cost. This lot, they don't care about Ukraine or its people. This is just the latest virtue-signalling bandwagon that they're all jumping on. It was Me Too for a while, wasn't it? Despite the fact that most of them had Harvey Weinstein on speed dial. Despite the fact this bunch of self-proclaimed feminists are now trying to get J.K. Rowling cancelled for standing up for women's rights. Then it was the environment. Have you or I ever been on a private jet? Or indeed, anywhere near one? Probably not. They call that a taxi service. William and Kate copped it a couple of years ago because this bunch of bloated multimillionaire actors decided that our royal family were the unjustifiably entitled ones. They just pick an issue and run with it, this lot, don't they? Their words mean nothing. Their level of self-importance is staggering. Benedict Cumberbatch saw fit to announce his engagement in the Times, for goodness sake, as if everybody needed to know. I imagine he'll be staggered to learn that nobody cared about that either. Just collect your award and jog on. That expensive bottle of Petrus you ordered isn't going to drink itself, mate. I imagine you'll allow all the Ukrainian refugees you're taking into one of your many homes unfettered access to your wine cellar, will you? No. All this worthiness and grandstanding is just a projection of their own personal insecurity and uncomfortableness relating to their own extreme privilege. For a bunch of very successful actors, they haven't half played a tremendously bad role when it comes to the current mess the world finds itself in.